Hi, uh, my name is Daniel, and this is part 2 of the whole life contract series, pricing a whole life contract for an insurance company. So in the last video, we worked up to determining these probability values, and now what we need to do next is determine the discounting factor, which is one of the easiest things to do. Just is equals to 1 plus the interest rate, and then have, because it's only one rate you're applying, put that as a static, raised true power negative the time at which you're analyzing, and then you just drop it down. Okay, so we come to so now we come to the assurance bit. In the assurance bit, if you can remember from the presentation the lump sum was just summation of the vk plus 1 times k qx. Okay, so here what we do is we'll come multiply that. Well, hardly will this person die immediately, so you can just work from time 1 if this person dies 1 year later, multiplied by the probability that this person dies throughout the year, right? So this is the probability that this person dies. If you put 0 here, it's the probability that this person dies in 1 year's time. Okay, and then you can just drop that down. We'll work out the NAs. We'll try to eliminate them. Okay, and then for the annuity, at inception, when the contract is being made, we are certain that this policyholder will pay a premium. That's why I put that premium of 1. We're working with a unit just to make things clear. So at inception, this policyholder will pay a premium. That is why we have 1 here. And then for the preceding periods, if you go back to our slides, we have it as a summation of our VT multiplied by TPX. So here you just have our VT times TPX, like that. Then you just drop that down. So if you realize that we have errors here, you need to take care of these errors. Basically, these errors are because if you come to this column here, this column picks the mortality of this age right here. But if you come to age 105, there's no mortality of the person age 105, because according to my life table, the maximum age that a person can be is 104. Therefore, we need to put a condition that if this person is aged 105, then the contract, then this formula should stop picking the values. So we can write it if, can use an if function, if this is less than or equal to less than or equal to 104, then put that as a static, then give us that, otherwise give us 0. Okay, let's give us 0. Sorry, actually it will be best if you just applied it. It will be best if you just applied an if error function and just type if error. This is a very crude way of doing it, by the way. If error is 0, if there's an error, just give us the value 0, and then you just drop it. Yeah, it's a neat way of doing it, rather. And then for the px, you realize that px's are 1 minus qx's. Therefore, if qx is 0, it means our px will be 1. But we do know that, of course, we can't have a px of 1. So we can say can write in a function here, if that is equals to 1, give us 0, otherwise give us that. Okay, and just drop it down. So also this one gives probability of survival of 0 at time 105. So if you change this one to be 100, everything is still neat, it becomes very dynamic. Put 60, everything changes and it's neat. So what now you need to do is determine the MPV factor for the benefit, and to do that you just do a summation of this column right here, and the MPV factor for the premium is just a summation of this column over here, that column over there. So remember that premium multiplied by the MPV of the annuity factor is equals to premium, the sum assured multiplied by the MPV of the annuity factor, of the premium factor, MPV of the benefit factor, benefit multiplied by the expenses. And then these expenses, since the expenses are a proportion of the annuity, it means that they will use the same mean present value factor as the premium. Okay, so here we do realize that we have MPV of premium factor this side, and we have MPV premium or annuity factor, MPV annuity factor. We realize that we have the MPV annuity factor this side and MPV annuity factor this side. So what we are intended in getting majorly is the P, this P here. And also remember that this expense, we can write here as expense percentage times premium, P times that. So in this equation we have P times MPV annuity factor this side, and we have P times MPV annuity factor this side. So using the fundamental mathematics, we can bring all of this into the side of the equation so that we can factor out the P. And then if you factor out the P, you'll have a P, and then bracket the MPV annuity factor minus expense percentage times MPV annuity factor is equals to the sum assured multiplied by the MPV benefit factor. Okay, then we can divide both sides by MPV annuity factor minus expense times MPV annuity factor to get the P, and that P will be the annual premium. So we can just introduce a new column row here, and then say annual premium. The annual premium, this is equals to, now according to this equation, it's the sum assured, which is that, multiplied by the MPV benefit factor, which is that. Then you can neatly put this into a bracket, divide by MPV annuity factor minus percent of expense times MPV annuity factor of the premium. And by annuity factor I mean the premium factor. Okay, so the annual premium to be paid by the policyholder is 429 units each and every each and every year, beginning of year. We can also have a single premium. We can also have a single premium, and for the single premium, now if you come back here, we won't have the MPV for the annuity factor or for the premium factor here. It'll just be left like that. And also the expenses will just be a percentage of the premium. So even here we won't have this, rather we'll have 1 minus expense times annuity factor, so there's no that. And yeah, so it means that we'll just come here and say that the premium is equals to sum assured times MPV benefit factor divided by 1 minus expense percentage, and voila, we have the single annuity amount to be paid by the policyholder. Okay, so you can neat things up a little bit to show the inputs and the outputs and everything. So if we change that to 1 million, whatever amount, you see the annual premium or the single premium, we all change. You can change the age 40, you can change the interest rate 8%, you can change the expense rate 9%. So if you can play around with these input variables to give you different premiums that the policyholder can pay. Okay, I hope this helps. Later on we'll work out with more complex products, more complex life insurance products, and I do hope that you will enjoy further videos. For any questions, please visit afq.wordpress.com or email us using the following email: afqjournal.wordpress.com, or you can email us through afqjournal@gmail.com. Thank you very much for your time, and I do hope that this did help. See you around.